The Last Lantern of Aremo Village, a 10-minute bedtime story. Long ago, tucked between gentle hills and a quiet river, there was a small place called Aremo Village. Aremo was peaceful, filled with farmers, fishermen, and children who played from sunrise to sunset. But there was something special about this village. Every night, the villagers gathered in the square where a single lantern was lit. It wasn't an ordinary lantern. It was the last lantern, said to have been gifted by an old wandering sage. The flame inside had burned for over 100 years. It never dimmed, never flickered. The villagers believed it protected them from darkness and united their hearts. In that same village lived a 12-year-old girl named Mira. Mira was clever, gentle, and curious, the type of child who noticed things others overlooked. She lived with her grandmother, Mama Halima, because her parents had passed away when she was little. Mama Halima always told her, "Light is not just fire, my daughter. Light is kindness. Light is courage. Light is the choices we make when no one is watching." Mira carried these words everywhere she went, the night the flame died. One windy evening, dark clouds covered the sky earlier than usual. The villagers gathered at the square, expecting to see the familiar glow of the last lantern. But something was wrong. For the first time in generations, the lantern's flame began to tremble. And then it went out. A hush fell over the entire village. Some villagers panicked. Some cried. Some whispered that danger would come. The elders tried everything. They used firewood, oil, cloth, but the lantern refused to light. Mama Halima placed a hand on Mira's shoulder and whispered, "When light disappears, fear grows fast. But remember, courage walks faster." Mira didn't fully understand, but those words stuck. That night, after everyone returned home, Mira couldn't sleep. She kept thinking of the lantern, the villagers' scared faces, and the dark wind that blew through the trees. She felt a strange pull in her heart, like something was telling her she needed to do something. She lit a small candle and walked quietly to the old storage room where the lantern was kept. As she touched the cold metal of the lantern, she noticed something others had missed. There was an old carving at the bottom, faint, almost invisible, a tiny drawing of a mountain and a star. Mira gasped. She recognized it. Mama Halima had once told her about a place called Star Peak, where the first flame of the lantern was believed to have come from. Without hesitation, Mira made up her mind. She would climb Star Peak and find a way to relight the last lantern. The journey to Star Peak. The next morning, before the sun rose, Mira began her journey. She carried a small bag of ground nuts, a flask of water, the last lantern, and her grandmother's scarf for warmth. The road was long and lonely. Cold wind tugged at her clothes. Tall trees whispered above her as she walked. There were moments she wanted to turn back, but each time she remembered the fear she saw in the villagers' eyes, strength returned to her legs. At the foot of Star Peak, she met an old man sitting on a rock. His beard was white as snow, and his eyes were bright and calm. "Where are you going, child?" he asked. "To find light," Mira replied honestly, lifting the lantern. The old man smiled gently. "Light isn't only found at the top of mountains. Sometimes it begins in the heart." "But the village needs the flame," Mira said. "Everyone is scared." The man studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Your heart is brave, go on. But remember, the brightest flame comes after the darkest climb, the flame of truth." The climb grew harder. Stones cut her feet. Branches scratched her arms. Her water finished halfway up the mountain, but she didn't stop. Finally, after hours of climbing, she reached the summit, a quiet, flat space where the clouds felt close enough to touch. In the center stood a small stone bowl, filled with ashes from ancient fires. Mira placed the last lantern beside it and knelt, unsure of what to do. That's when something incredible happened. A single star above her brightened. It shone directly onto the stone bowl. The ashes began to glow. Mira quickly placed the lantern under the light and whispered a small prayer she learned from Mama Halima. A warm wind wrapped around her. The lantern glowed, then burst into a brilliant, steady flame. Tears filled Mira's eyes, not from fear, but from relief, pride, and the warmth of the flame. She whispered, "Thank you." The return to Aremo Village. By the time Mira walked back into the village square, the sun was rising. People gathered around her with wide eyes. "It's lit." She brought the flame back. Mira saved the village. Mama Halima rushed to her and pulled her into a tight hug. "My child, you carried the light even when the lantern could not." The elders placed the lantern back in its special stand. The flame burned brighter than ever, filling the entire square with golden warmth. That night, Aremo Village celebrated Mira, but she shook her head and said softly, I didn't bring back the flame alone. Courage did. Hope did. And every one of you who believed in the light. Moral lessons 1. True light comes from courage, kindness, and doing what is right even when it is difficult. 2. Fear grows when we let darkness stay, but hope grows when we take the first step. 3. Everyone, no matter how young, can make a difference. 4. Sometimes the solution is not far away. It starts from the courage inside you.